Welcome to Downtown Sports. My name is Downtown Stephen Brown, and in today's video, guys, I want to go over Game 3 between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning, and then tee up some news and some notes ahead of Game 4. And if you enjoyed this video by the end of it, it would mean a lot to me if you considered subscribing. We just hit 7,000, and the Leafs are on the upswing, and so are we. So let's jump into this. I've already gone on the record to say that if the Leafs played well in Game 1 and Campbell did too, then I'd be 100% on the passion hype train. And now that they're up 2-1, I am believing even more. Game 3 was Campbell's game. First, second, third star of that game, Jack Campbell. In the third period, from like the 10-minute mark onwards, it was a complete onslaught. And he stopped everything. And you know what? Coming into this series, you can look at Jack Campbell versus Andrei Vasilevskiy. It's really easy to look at the Conn Smythe winner, to look at the Vezina Trophy winner, and then look at the other guy who, at different points of this year, and like we said in the series preview and several times now, he went from being the best goalie in the league at one point to being the worst. And we didn't really know how much the Leafs were holding back when it came to that rib injury. Did it happen when they said it did? Did it happen earlier? We didn't know. But through 3 games, Jack's been the man. So the Maple Leafs went with a little bit of a different look in this game. They reunited John Tavares with Rielly and Nylander. They brought in Justin Holl for Timothy Liljegren, and Jason Spezza also drew in as well. We will get to John Tavares and Rielly and Nylander a little bit later on in the video, but first I want to touch on Justin Holl just because it's easy, it's quick, and it's dirty. There have been 30 power plays through 3 games between either team in this series so far, and Justin Holl is the guy who is second on the Maple Leafs blue line in terms of shorthanded time on ice during the regular season. And if he would have played all 82 games, he would have probably passed TJ Brodie and been number 1. The Maple Leafs took 7 minor penalties in Game 2, and even if you want to take Wayne Simmonds out of that equation, which they did in Game 3, the rest of the team took another 5. And the Lightning went 3 for 7 on the power play. So the idea behind swapping Timothy Liljegren and Justin Holl is the Leafs just wanted some more insurance on their penalty kill, and Justin Holl was by far one of the most trusted guys there all season long. And to give some credit to Justin Holl, him and Mark Giordano have played together during the regular season, and the results, they've been decent. They've been pretty good. Not as good as the combination of Giordano and Liljegren, but they've been good. And we showed it in yesterday's video. Mark Giordano and Timothy Liljegren struggling a little bit through the first 2 games of this series. And you see that Giordano and Holl have played together during the regular season, and it's worked out for the most part. You need a little bit more help on your penalty kill, and Justin Holl has been one of your most trusted guys to do that all season long. I understand the switch. I thought that he played well for the most part, but of course he takes 1 out of the 3 penalties that the Leafs get in this game, and the Lightning score on it. And the thing that bugs me about Justin Holl the most is that he's a defensive defenseman who constantly thinks offense. This is a 3-0 game at this point, and Amalie Arena is a complete morgue. They are stunned, and the Lightning have no momentum whatsoever. So, naturally, there's an opportunity to pinch, and Justin Holl takes it. He's going to take the opportunity to pinch, and he's going to lose that battle, and Brandon Hagel's going to go back the other way. And because he pinched, he's 3 or 4 steps behind him. He can't catch up to him, and it forces him to take a holding penalty. And if you watch the replay, and I can't show it, I'll leave the GIF linked in the video description below if you want to check it out afterwards. Hagel kind of grabs his stick and then flops. So I'm going to go 50-50 on this one. If Justin Holl didn't pinch, he would have been in front of the play, and Hagel wouldn't have had the opportunity to do that to him. But sneaky dirty by Brandon Hagel there. I don't want to be too hard on Justin Holl because he is coming into this series cold, and it's Game 3, right? Everyone already has their assignments and their dance partners, and he's just trying to get comfortable. And this is just a bad read on a 50-50 play where he makes a bad pinch. And by the numbers, him and Mark Giordano were Toronto's best pairing in that game last night, and we'll talk about the other 2 in about a minute from now. But at the same time, it's a 3-0 game, right? That's what bothers me the most. And I was watching the Florida-Washington series, and I believe it was in Game 2. I think Florida won 5-1, or was 5-1 at that point. And Aaron Ekblad was mic'd up, or one of the mics caught him, and he was like, "Hey, everyone takes 1 step back from now on, and we're just going to try to shut this down." And at this point in the game, I don't know about letting your foot completely off the gas and just letting the other team take it to you. But at the same time, those 50-50 plays, I'd say let him go and stay on the side of caution. I almost wonder when Sheldon Keefe said that he's expecting the series to be borderline violent if it was just a move or a play to get the referee's attention. Who likes doing more work, right? And when the referees hear that, they know that their job is going to get harder because there's going to be scrums after every single whistle. They don't want to deal with that. So instead, they're just going to start calling everything. And if you don't adjust, that's your problem. And for the Leafs, who clearly made lineup decisions for Game 3 based on the way that the series has been called so far, as long as it remains consistent, I don't really care. And the Leafs took 3 penalties from this one. Tampa Bay took 5. Did the lineup decisions or changes work? I guess so. Tampa Bay took more stupid penalties than the Leafs did. Morgan Rielly and Ilya Lyubushkin got killed in Game 3. Through 2 periods, I don't think I've ever seen that before. They were at 1.8% expected goals for and controlled just 15% of the shot attempts. They played a bit better together in that 3rd period, but at the same time, this was the first game in the series where Tampa Bay had home ice advantage, and they clearly had some matchups that they wanted to target, and with last change, they got them all. And that's something for the Maple Leafs to make note of going from Game 3 to Game 4 and how they want to counter that. I saw some people suggesting that Ilya Lyubushkin gets scratched for Game 4 in favor of Timothy Liljegren, and that would be an easy plug-and-play option because Morgan Rielly and Timothy Liljegren had played together during the regular season. The numbers for Rielly and Lyubushkin through the first 2 games of this series are decent enough where I don't think it would be justified scratching him for one really bad game. But then again, this series did move from at home to on the road for the Maple Leafs, and if there's a specific matchup that Tampa Bay was exploiting in Game 3, where you know you're going to lose that battle because they have last change, maybe you do scratch him for the road game, Game 4, and you get him back in the lineup at home. The one thing that I will say in defense of Ilya Lyubushkin is that he was instrumental on 2 of Toronto's goals in this game. On David Kampf's goal, he steps up and makes a real big hit on Brandon Hagel. He's a little bit dazed and confused afterwards. He makes a bad pass in the neutral zone, and David Kampf's able to zip up the middle of the ice and beat Andrei Vasilevskiy. And then coming out of the penalty box, the Leafs have a 3-on-1 with Lyubushkin having the puck, and he's able to just outweight Andrei Vasilevskiy, get it to the other side of the crease, and Colin Blackwell just taps it in. I'm going to take the journalist out here, and I'm going to pose the question to you guys because I don't really have an opinion on this one. Do you think that Lyubushkin should be in the lineup or not for Game 4? Let me know. Speaking of matchups, the line of Anthony Cirelli, Braden Point, and Alex Killorn, even Victor Hedman and Eric Cernak were absolutely glued to Austin Matthews in Game 3. The last time the Maple Leafs played the Lightning in Tampa Bay with Matthews in the lineup, it was Mikhail Sergachev and Eric Cernak that matched up against him the most, and Matthews had a hat trick that game. They actually shied away from playing Victor Hedman against Austin Matthews with the last change. And we were talking about that in the series preview. Like, hey, Victor Hedman's supposed to be this X factor, but all season long they shied away from matching Hedman up against Matthews. I wonder why that is. And in this game, they did it, and those 5 guys were awesome. So I guess then that brings us to William Nylander and John Tavares, because if Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner are seeing Tampa Bay's best 5 defensive players, that means that John Tavares and William Nylander are playing up against Tampa Bay's other guys. And Tampa Bay's other guys are good, but those are their secondary players, right? They're facing secondary matchups, and again, they generated next to nothing offensively in this one. Tavares without Nylander, Tavares with Nylander. I'm not even gonna bother showing the numbers on it. I've showed it like a billion times the last week or so. They're not good. I need those 2 guys to start playing well. And you know what? The series is 2-1 for the Leafs. If they want to show up in Game 4 and score a couple of goals and then help them close it out, I don't really care about the first 3 games of this series. I don't want to ring any alarm bells, but there was a point in the 3rd period where Sheldon Keefe moved Alex Kerfoot up to play with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, and Michael Bunting was moved down to the 4th line, taking shifts with Colin Blackwell and Jason Spezza. I don't know if that was just an in-game adjustment to get those top 2 guys going, to maybe spread the lineup out a little bit, but in watching Michael Bunting play these first 2 games, he doesn't look the same as he was before the injury. I don't feel that he's at 100%. And Tampa Bay is a really good structured team. They have a really strong neutral zone forecheck, and especially when their best guys are out there, you need to really get on your horse to be able to beat that. And when Kerfoot was moved up there in that 3rd period, that trio did play quite well together. look, it could be that he's not at 100%. It could be that he's just tired, that he's feeling a little bit sore or whatever like that, because he didn't play the last couple of games of the season, and then he's just thrown into a really intense playoff series. He didn't start game 1, right? He comes in game 2 at home. I don't know. Maybe it was just an off night. It'll be interesting to see if the Maple Leafs start next game with Michael Bunting back up there, and then they go to Alex Kerfoot if it's not working, or they just start with Kerfoot there. And if you start with Kerfoot there, that means Bunting's not at 100%. And just as they finished editing up the video here, I checked Twitter just to see if anything else had come out. The Maple Leafs practice lines from Saturday, so the day before Game 4, have Alexander Kerfoot up on that top line and Michael Bunting with Blackwell and Spezza. I don't know. We're going to have to watch Game 4 and see what happens there, but could be an indicator that he's just not at 100%, and he's working his way back up there. Not necessarily that he had a setback, but as he works his way back up to 100%, they're just dialing the minutes back a little bit. If we're looking at some line combinations that played well in this game, I thought that the fourth line, although they didn't really play too much together, of Engvall, Blackwell, and Spezza, it was a competent fourth line. I like Jason Spezza's game in this one. But Kerfoot, Kampf, and Mikheyev, that trio playing together in this game were awesome. And that's a variation of the shutdown line. It's either those three guys playing together, or it's Engvall, Kampf, and Mikheyev. Kosh is there sometimes as well. But I believe after Andre Palat scored to make it a 3-2 game, Sheldon Keefe called that timeout, and I believe it was those three guys who came over the boards afterwards. Keefe trusts those guys a lot, and I believe it was Engvall, Kampf, and Mikheyev out there to kill off the dying minutes of the third when Tampa Bay had the net empty. And by the way, I'm mad all over about that again. This team passes it backwards on breakaways and when they're coming in with a 2-on-0 with the net empty. Pierre, if you ever, I don't care if it's Matthews on the other side and he just needs one goal to break a record. You fire that puck into the empty net unselfishly and you hop into the boards and you celebrate like there's no tomorrow, because it's a playoff game and it's a 3-2 game with like 40 seconds left. Ice it. I understand you want Mikheyev to feel good about himself, and you know what? He scored another empty net goal to put this game at 5-2 afterwards. And if it leads to Mikheyev having a good game 4 because he felt good about himself towards the end there, no. Even then, don't do that. Don't do that again. I want to talk about the Maple Leafs power play to end off this video, and there's some numbers up on the screen to compare and contrast how they performed in the regular season versus how they've performed so far in the playoffs. And the first couple of power plays in Game 3 were good. I felt like they had some decent scoring opportunities. They were recovering pucks and maintaining pressure, but as it went on, it just seemed to get worse and worse and worse, and then they didn't get any in that third period. By the way, Andrei Vasilevskiy playing the puck in the trapezoid, and the refs just completely missed it. That's a pivotal point in that game, because not only does Toronto get an opportunity to go on the power play, but it's 2 minutes of the game in the third period where they don't have to play a whole ton of defense, right? And that's just a rule book thing. That's not a judgment call of any sorts. But anyway, getting back to the power play, there was a power play towards the midpoint of the second period, towards the end of that power play, where Mitch Marner moved behind the net, behind the goal line, and he fed a pass out in front to John Tavares. And Tavares wired it wide of the net, but him and Tavares have hooked up for a couple of goals like that. And on the power play, especially when Tampa Bay has a good goalie and a good penalty kill, you just have to take what's given to you. And if there's nothing available up high and there's nothing available cross-seamer in the middle of the ice, you got to change the eyesight. You got to move things around. And you know what? If they start the power play just how they usually do, and they cycle the puck around a little bit, and Mitch Marner just happens to find his way behind the net, that changes the entire look for the penalty kill. And you could be surprised how much it just throws off an entire unit when just a couple of guys switch places, or even just one. But that's going to be it for this video, guys. Make sure to like it if you did like it, and subscribe for more, because more is always on the way. They're up 2-1. They win Game 4, and they're up 3-1. Is that their kryptonite, or is that the sign that they're going to finally do it this year? I don't know. But big Game 4 tomorrow. I believe Game 5 would be Tuesday in Toronto. I'm feeling good about the Buds. How about you guys? Let me know down in the comments section.